Our first guest today is the fantastic, super talented Jeremie Albino. Jeremie, thanks for joining me on the Rise today. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me. Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great to meet you too.
Yeah.
Definitely have heard your name um, a lot in the musical world, and so it's nice to get to chat with you. So your album "Tears You Hide" has been riding the chart for weeks now, and I have so many questions about your artistry, how you became your awesome self. First question: what is one of your first musical memories?
Hmm. Wow. That's a good question. What is one of my first musical memories? Honestly, it's probably just my dad playing records like on like a Sunday morning. We used to have this like 5 CD changer CD player, and he would just be doing cleaning and just like vacuuming and just blasting like Cat Stevens and like Bob Marley and kind of that kind of music that just like is like stuck with you, like
Yes.
you don't even know how you know the music, but you just know it.
Yeah, it's just there.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Another side question: is your family from the Caribbean by any chance?
No.
No.
No, my mom's French Canadian
Uh huh.
and my dad's Filipino.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I have Caribbean roots, but my Sundays and Saturdays looked and sounded a lot like yours. And I was
Yeah.
like, wait a second.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, honestly,
Yeah.
yeah, he'd just be blasted. My dad always like loved music, and he like always had the latest like CD or like stereo, and he'd always rig up a really fun like stereo through the house. Like he could put
Mm.
speakers in like the kitchen and all that. He just likes that kind of stuff. And
How did you find yourself playing the guitar? How did that come into your life?
well, I guess the first instruments I really picked up was the harmonica, but I never really thought of
Hmm.
like picking up the guitar until like one of our like family friends had passed away, and we inherited one of their guitars, and um I just started playing it. I guess I was probably 13 or 14, just messing around with it for a bit. My dad played guitar. My mom also played guitar. And we always had a guitar at home, but like no one really played it until some reason this like guitar came into our life that our friends gave us.
Mm.
I kind of remember like realizing that not too long after that, I was pretty musical. Like I had a musical ear, I guess. Like my mom's side, she had it's like very French Canadian. They used to like play the fiddle and guitar and accordion and like
Hmm. Hmm.
my mom grew up with all this like music. There was all her uncles, and I never really did get to know them.
Yeah.
That side of the family is super like musical, and I guess that's probably it's in my blood, I guess, like it kind of got passed down. So yeah, between my dad who like just loves music and my mom who's like also loves music and came from a really musical family, I guess that's kind of meant to be.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like steeped in it. You could not
Yeah.
escape. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like without even knowing it, right? Like I think with my mom's side, like she always kind of talked about growing up, and her family would always be like having kitchen parties and just like playing
Hmm.
instruments, and none of them can read music or anything like that, but it was just like part of the traditional music that was in their family. But
Hmm.
yeah, honestly never really knew any like other than like being in my bones,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
now you're creating your own traditions. Who knows what will
Yeah.
happen? Was curious when it comes to songwriting. Like I feel like it seems to me that writing songs seems easy for you. Maybe I'm just like it's a wishful thought, but it just seems like I'm like, wow, they just seem to pour out of you. And I'm curious when you're sitting down to write a song, what comes first? Is it like chords, melody, or lyrics, or does it kind of like happen at the same time? Are there little pieces that happen at the same time?
Yeah. For a long time I've always thought writing was really hard. Like it's,
Mm.
and I sometimes I still think that, like, but I'm starting to believe in myself a bit more and more. But
Yeah.
yeah, for the longest time, it was always really a big struggle to write. Like I'd come up with ideas, but I would never really finish songs. Like I'd have a million little songs,
Yeah.
but not no song like finished songs.
Relatable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, for the most part with music, it's usually like a kind of a mix of both that comes first, like a little melody with a lyric or something that I wanted to talk about that I thought was cool, or Oh, actually, the other night I was playing a festival up in Sault Ste. Marie, and we had gone out. We just met some people, and they were having a party, and it was kind of late, and it was just a really nice night out. And I just remember seeing it was like a half moon, and I was like, "Wow, this is really nice." And earlier in the night, I had seen this like I'd never seen anything like it before, but they're just like really bright shooting star.
Oh,
I
wow.
forget they're called like Bowler meteors or something like that. Where it's I have to look it up after, but it's just like where like stuff explodes in the atmosphere instead of like passing through the atmosphere. So it was like a really bright flash of light. Like everyone was just like looked up because it was like a big flash then a streak. But something like that. I was like, oh, I was like walking home from the party and I was like, half moon night, something with a shooting star. And I was like, yeah, that's a lyric that I want to use. And eventually I'll find a melody with it. But a lot of times it's it's usually like a melody and lyric thing that are just like melded together from the start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, before I let you go, I would love to play a track from your album, Tears You Hide. Can you pick a song and tell our listeners a little bit about it?
Yeah. Yeah. You could play Hold Me Down. Yeah. This song is one of the songs that I have the most fun playing. It's just kind of a song. I ended up writing this one in the pandemic, and it was just kind of hard. I
Yeah.
was having a real hard time writing a lot of these songs on this record, and I ended up kind of like holing up in an old cabin and just writing a bunch of songs. And one thing I like really was missing the most about being with my friends and family was just like having a good little potluck dance party get
Yeah.
together and just being with people that I love and hanging out and dancing and so I ended up writing the song. It was just like a song that's just like about that feeling of like just floating when you're with the people you love. And
Hmm.
that's kind of how I started writing it. I was just like, I was missing everyone, and I was just like, I just want to have a little party. And this just if we did have this party, I'd be floating like hold me down because I'd be floating in the sky because I'd be so happy. And and that's what ended up being the song. Yeah, hold me down.
Amazing. That's
Yeah,
great. What a great image, too, of just like floating with joy.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, Jeremy, thank you so much for chatting with me today and for your music.
yeah. Thanks so much for having me.
Anytime. From the album Tears You Hide, which is number 16 on this week's Top 30 chart, this is the song Hold Me Down by Jeremie Albino.